Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about what are the ideal tools and processes that you can have in your TypeScript project to make everything smooth and easy. And also there will be a lot of automation that you don't need to be worried about. As you scale, you need those automation and you need to put some processes in place. And in this video, that's what I'm going to talk about. So at the end of this video, you're going to learn how to add these processes to your existing project, or if you're going to work on a new project, you can just add them there and enjoy the rest of your time working on that project with minimizing the risk and minimizing the problems and manual works to fix the issues later on. So let's dive in and find out what do I mean by this. The first thing that I want to do, so I have a project here. The first thing I want to do is to initialize a Git repository. The next thing that I want to do, because we're using Git, let's make sure we are using a proper commit messages. So we're going to use a conventional commit message. But before again doing that, because it's a TypeScript project, we need to install a few dependencies before we move to that step. And the next thing that I want to do, I want to install Husky. So Husky is going to give us some facility to work with Git hooks. So the first command is to install Husky. We're going to use pnpm. You can use npm, it doesn't matter, but we're going to use pnpm here, pnpm add -d and then Husky. So Husky is added to the dev dependencies. Once we have the Husky, the next thing is to install the Husky. So to do that, we're going to say again npm package set script prepare Husky install. So having this one is going to give us this. And the next thing we need to do is pnpm. Okay, Husky is installed. Basically, it's going to install Husky. And as you can see here, with installing Husky, it's going to give us .husky and then underscore husky.sh and git ignore. Okay, so we have git ignores and node modules. Everything is good. The next thing that we want to do, we want to install conventional commit to our pre-commit and commit message hooks. So for doing that, I'm going to use commit-lint CLI, and all I have to do is to copy all of these things and paste it here because we are using pnpm. So we're going to just change the commands a little bit. So we have all of these things, and then we go here. We just need to create another file here, and just if I paste it, echo module.export, etc., etc., you can find all of them basically in the npm and then commit-lint CLI. So if we do that, we are going to get commit-lint.config.js. So everything is here. The next thing that we need to do is just pnpm dlx. It's similar to npx, and then Husky add a commit message hook. And then what we're going to do is again to say npx --no commit-lint -edit $1. So if you look at my videos in the past, that's how you're going to look at the message. But because we don't want to use npx again here, you can say pnpm dlx, and then we're going to get rid of all of these things, and then we have commit message, and that's exactly what we wanted. So you can just manipulate this one later on. So let's test. Okay, so we're just echoing something in a command line, and then we are just making sure the commit-lint is running correctly. If I do git status -s, we can see we have a bunch of files. Let's just add them there and move on. So git commit, git add. Let's add everything because why not? We are happy with all of them, and then git. So it's time to add a message which is not following the conventional commit. So I'm going to press press enter, and you can see we're going to get this one here. We're going to say commit-lint. Here we're going to use exec instead. So I'm going to save it, run it one more time. Well, git status, git add everything and clear, and then one more time. Now we're going to add the commit message. You can see we are having problems with the conventions, and all I have to do is to just follow the conventions. Basically, we are adding a feature, for example, to our project. Depends what you want to call. But if you go here, So basically, if you go to the conventional commit website, you can see we need to have a type, and the type could be one of these things. So it depends whatever you want to add here. Choose the type and follow the conventions. So then press enter. Now we have a commit. So our commit is following the conventions. And if you look at this website, so the website is telling you more about, for example, what could be the potential subjects or types. Types could be build, chore, CI, documentation, etc., etc. And then we follow this one. The reason that this is important, well, in a few moments, we're going to add a release to our project and we're going to make everything automated. And also, if you're working with the team members, it's better to understand every commit that come to your project, to your code base, what purpose it was serving. So it's much easier to understand those commit instead of just everyone follow different languages and pattern. Here, you're really going to give some sort of pattern and convention to your commit messages. So now that we have this one, let's quickly add a few more things. Because we're using Typescript, let's install Typescript and a few other things. So we're going to use Typescript as Typescript, and tsup basically will be for bundling our projects. So because we have Typescript and tsup ready, let's just add a few more scripts. So we're going to add build. With the build, we are going to use tsup. We're going to look everything, all the TS files in src, and we're going to give the common.js and ECMAScript standard modules or ESM. And then we also need the types annotations. So we're going to add all of these things. And then for the linting, we're going to add ESLint later, but for time being, we're going to use Typescript to make sure we don't have any problems. So we have a Typescript file which is going to add two numbers, number 1 and number 2, and it's going to return them. So basically we have a file to work with, and then I'm going to close this one as well. And let's just see what do we get when we run build command. Now we're going to have this directory. In this directory, we have d.ts, which is the data, which is the types, and we have JS file, and we have MJS. So with the MJS, we have everything we want. So because we have all of these three, I'm going to replace them. So with the main, we have this.index.js, module would be the module, and the types would be d.ts. And the next thing that we want to do, quickly add this into the git ignore. And also we have linting in place. But for the linting, if we're going to use Typescript, we need to just update the tsconfig. So basically with the Typescript or tsconfig, you need to make sure we have a few things, which I'm highlighting. So no unchecked indexed access, no emit, and no emit on error. So if there is any error, we don't want them to be, we don't want to compile it. So basically now, if I do again, pnpm run lint, is going to run the tsc and everything is fine. And now if I change something, for example, here, if it's going to be string, obviously there is an error, but if you're going to just say pnpm run lint, now the linting has some issues. We're going to see what's the error and everything else. The next thing that I also want to do here is, if I'm going to build, first I want to just run the lint, then that one. So pnpm run lint, and then run the tsup. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to just say pnpm. Okay, good. We just ran the linting, and then we run the tsup. So everything is good. I'm happy, but I want to do a little bit more stuff. I want to add the Wireit project. So Wireit project from the Google to the project to just really take care of this, all of these things in a much easier and more appropriate way. Because the more we have stuff here, for example, npm run lint, if you want to run the test, if you want to run a lot of things, you're going to see how difficult it's going to be. What we want to do, we're going to add one more package. So it's pnpm add -d Wireit. So we're going to add this one. With the Wireit, everything is good. So I'm going to close it. Bring this one down a little bit. We have Wireit project as well, or library. And all we have to do is to replace all of these commands with Wireit and then add Wireit section. We also have a video on this topic, which if you're interested, you can go and have a look, but I'm going to just quickly replace all of them with the Wireit. So basically now we have everything written in Wireit. So every command and a script we have is just basically Wireit, W-I-R-E-I-T, Wireit, And then if you go a little bit down, we have Wireit section, which you have the command name, that's the script name, and what command is going to run. That's exactly what we talk about. And if there is a dependency, now instead of just say pnpm run lint, pnpm run, I don't know, test, etc., you can add them to dependency array, and it's going to take care of it. For the linting, we have the same thing. Prepare, we have that, and test also the same thing. So now if I just do pnpm run build, now we can see we have more interactive output. So it's running the linting and it was successful. Then it's going to run the command, which is tsup, and the rest of the story. So it's just going to organize it. The more script you have, it's going to be more organized. So you can cache it, you can do a lot of things. And then the next thing that I want to add, basically now that I have this directory and node modules, I want to be able to clean it whenever I want. So I'm going to add rimraf package as well. So problem sorted. Now we have clean command and we have clean dip. So basically the difference would be, if you're going to run the clean, it's going to get rid of the this directory. If you're going to run clean dip, it's going to clean the node module and clean directory. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to test this one. So pnpm run clean, why not? Let's clean everything. So it's going to get rid of this and get rid of node modules. So we don't have anything. And now if I do pnpm install, it's going to bring everything back. Because we're using pnpm as a package manager, why not to add it also to our package.json. So we're going to use pnpm version 7 at least. The next thing that I want to do is to add ESLint. But before going there, what actually is important to me is to commit everything that we have done. We don't need this file in our Git repo, so we can just put it in a ignore list. So it's .wireit. So this is gonna go also away. And actually, that's a good example to add it to the package.json. And when we're gonna deep clean, it's going to get rid of this directory as well. Let's now quickly add ESLint to our project and make sure we're also following the linting rules, ESLint rules as well. But for the ESLint, make sure also you have installed the ESLint extension. So if you go to extension and then search for ESLint, you should make sure this is also installed. So in order to do that, we just need to say npm init ESLint config. So it's going to ask us what do we want to do. Basically, we want to check syntax, find problems, and enforce code style. Yes. What do we want to check? CommonJS, JavaScript modules, or none of this. Let's just put none of this for time being, and then it's not going to be React or Vue. Let's put not this one. We're going to use Typescript. Yes. And then it will run on a browser in this specific case. And then what is the styling? So we're going to use the most popular one, and then I'm going to use standard one, and let's use JavaScript file. And it's saying it's going to install all of these things. Do you want to install them? Yes. We are using pnpm. Okay, we are missing a parser. We're going to install it, but we're going to have a bunch of dev dependencies here. So we have Typescript ESLint plugin, ESLint itself, ESLint config standard with Typescript, plugin import, plugin n, plugin promise. Here in the error message, you can see we are missing Typescript ESLint parser, but we only want the version from 5 to 6. So this is the latest version that we have at the moment. Actually, I'm gonna add the caret here as well. We also have ESLint RC. So we are good with this one. I'm also going to add ESLint ignore. So it's going to ignore ESLint, ignore this directory, And then the next thing that we want to do, we want to also take care of the linting with ESLint, as well as, for example, the TSC. So let's copy and paste this one. Let's call one of them lint with TSC. I'm going to basically copy and paste this one. So the linting with TSC would be here, but the normal lint that we want to add is going to use ESLint. With the ESLint, we're going to just run ESLint. We're going to fix errors if we can. We're going to show the colors. Maximum warning would be 0. We're going to use the caching. There will be a cache location, which will be ESLint cache if we want to use cache. And if we don't want to use the cache, it's absolutely fine. But now we can say pnpm run lint. Because we have dependency lint tsc, it's going to run tsc first, then it's going to run ESLint. So we have all of these things. We're going to get some errors. So it could not load the rule Typescript ESLint dot notation. What we have to do, we're going to go to the parser option. So it's in ESLint rc.js, parser option, and after ACMScript, we're going to pass the project tsconfig.json. So it's going to look actually for tsconfig and use that one because we are using ESLint with Typescript. So I'm going to run it one more time. And you can see now we have everything correctly. So if I'm going to add, for example, 2 rules, 4 directions, and no constant condition, we're going to get warning because I'm using 1. And to prove it, we're going to go here. And in order to just really show it is this one. So the constant rule is very simple. So if you say if true, so you can see literally, because if I just drag this one to this side, because we're using warning here, no constant condition, it's always true, it's always going to run it, and we're going to get warning. And as you can see, it says unexpected constant condition. This is always evaluate truly, consider refactoring this, etc., etc. And if I run now my linting one more time, the TSC or the TypeScript doesn't care because there is no syntax error. It can compile it, but the ESLint find it as error. If I change this one to 2, you can see now it's changed to error. Quickly, it's go to red and it's just causing problems. I'm going to press this one 1, but because we don't want to expect any warning, it's 0, we cannot continue. If I just change this one, for example, to let's call it 1. Now, if I run my command, it shows the error warning, but it will pass it because we have maximum warning 1. I'm going to change it to 0. I don't want this one. And now I'm going to run it one more time. It get failed, we cannot continue. And now if you go to ESLint website and look at the 4 directions rules, we're going to test this one as well. Inside the rules, let's look at the 4 directions. And these are the problems. For example, this one has problems, this one doesn't have problem. So let's just copy one of them and come back here again. If true, let's actually console log this one. So you can see literally we start from 0, and if it is less than 10, so it is less than 10, but it's I minus minus means it will run it forever, infinite loop, and there will be a problem because we're using for condition as 1 as a warning, then it will raise an error. So if I make it 2, definitely this is an error because it's infinite loop, never ending. Always it will be -1, -2, -3, and it will be always true, and it will always run the for loop, and it's going to cause issues. Now if I just run our linting one more time, you can see now we have 2 errors, 1 loop, 1 warning. So I'm going to get rid of actually these things because I don't want them. But now you learn how to add rules as well. So let's commit our code. Okay, we are making sure it is a conventional commit. But the next thing that I want to add is basically to make sure before every commit we are running our lint command, which is ESLint and TSC. So let's add that one to Husky. So in .husky file, we're going to add a file which is pre-commit. In pre-commit, we are going to run the lint, and we're going to also run the test So making sure every time we're going to commit, all our tests are passing and there is no issue with linting. Okay, now we have all of these things, everything in place, and I'm very happy with what we have so far. So we have this project in place. Two things are missing. One is the environment variables, and we need to make sure our environment variables are running on every system, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and everything the same way. And the second thing is the node version management. So we are using, for example, node 16 or node 18 or any other version. We want to make sure everyone is using the same thing, and also changing the version would be very seamless and following the same pattern for everyone that is following the project. So let's quickly add NVM. So if you're not familiar with NVM, also we have a video with NVM. You're going to just basically change the version of node in your project. Basically, if you go to github.com nvm-sh nvm, you're going to be able to find it how to install and update it. If you're going to use, for example, Windows, you also have equivalent things, but the whole idea is to have a version management if you're going to change it. So now if I've already installed it, and if I go to nvm -version, you can see I am using NVM. And if you have NVM, all you have to do, you have to create a file called .nvmrc, put the version that you want, and everything should be good. And if you go to Node website, here is the latest version is 18.13, and if you're using 18.13, then everything should be okay. So if you say nvm use, it is now using version 13. And if I want to use version, for example, 19.4.0, all I have to do is to just change this one. So yes, let's quickly say nvm use. And now it could not use this one. So all I have to do, say nvm install, and it's going to install the latest version, the version that I specified. And whoever is going to use this project, everyone is going to use node version 19. But I don't want version 19, I want version 18, so I can change it as well. We're gonna update it in a few seconds, but the very important part that we want to do is to also add env variables. .env file. Obviously you can use .env package or a lot of other things. You need to also always import it in your code base. The other way to use it is to use direnv package. If you go to direnv, you're going to see, for example, a lot of interesting things how to install and how to use it. But the good thing about direnv is that it's going to work with Windows, Linux, Mac, everything, and it's going to load it completely to hold your project. So it's not per services, per project. It will be everywhere within this directory that you are. And then you also need to have .envrc. So .envrc, if you have .env installed, is going to just, with the first line, we're going to run .env and we're going to load .env file. And then we're also going to look for the nvmsh, and then we're going to use that version of the node. As a bonus, we can add also node modules.bin to the path. So basically what is going to happen is that if you're using npm or other things, you don't always have to go to node modules.bin to run, for example, Typescript, TSC, or other things from your terminal. pnpm does it for you automatically, but if you're going to use npm, this is the one. So now if I go out, I cleared it. So it says direnv exists, but we need to, and it's blocked, we need to allow it to use the content of this directory. So all I'm going to do, say direnv allow. So I have to do it only one time in this directory, and it's going to remember it. Now you can see we are using direnv allow. It's loaded the file, check the nvm or node version, and it's going to use also node version 19. The reason that this is very handy is that let's quickly change the version to whatever version we were using, 18.13. Now I'm going out of my project and direnv unloaded or unloading. So now I'm gonna go to Typescript again. look what's happened. So it's going to load the envrc, also change the node version, whatever version I'm using, because I'm using version 18, and also have all of those API key or any other environment variable I have available to me, and also adding into the path. So this is also the way you're going to automate nvmrc or node version management to your dir env or env file as well. So we have all of these things. The next thing that I want to do quickly is to add all of them to our Git. The next thing that I want to do is to just have my repository available in GitHub. So let's click. So now I have everything that I want here. So we have like ESLint, we have NVM, we have Wireit, we have Husky, git commit, pre-git commits, and all of those things are available. The next thing that I want to add is to add GitHub workflow to just automate my stuff and also release the changelog for me as well. So let's dive in and add all of them as well. If you're going to add the GitHub workflow, what you have to do, you have to create a directory called .github. So there we're going to have workflows directory, and also we're going to create a YAML file. It must be YAML file and followed exactly this one. So we are going to say whenever we push something to the main branch, we want to create a release, there's a job, and also we want to give some permissions, and also we're going to use the action which is provided by Google release please. We're going to talk about it in a few seconds and you're going to see, and we're going to use this GitHub token. It's coming out of the box, so you don't really need to create anything. It will be there, secrets.github token. They will be always there. So you're going to have this file, and then the next thing that you have to do is to go to your GitHub and then look at the repository, go to settings, actions, general, and underneath workflow permissions, you need to make sure it has this checkbox, allow GitHub actions to create and approve pull request. So we're going to create this, check this one, save it. Now we are allowed to create checkboxes. So the next thing that I want to do also is to talk about release please. Basically, you don't have to, you can see here you have release section. You don't have to go and manually create release. With this one, whenever you change something, it's going to look at the Git logs and all the messages and commit messages that we have created, and based on those ones, going to generate a release and tags for us. So basically, that's why we followed conventional commit. If you remember, we add, if you go to the package.json, we are using conventional commit. That's why here is going to be very, very useful, because the convention is going to tell us if it was a fix, if it was breaking changes, and it's going to really add the version for us. And also we are using version 0.0.1, and we can see everything in a second. So I have all of these things. I'm also going to really add one more thing as well. I just remembered that in my git ignore, I also need to add ESLint cache file as well. So ESLint cache, and also deleted it. So if you look at here, the ESLint cache was deleted, and also I updated the git ignore. So I'm gonna just commit these two to begin with. So git commit -m. This one was a fix, so let's just call it fix, remove, and the next thing is we are adding this workflow. So this workflow is CI. So I'm going to just add everything here, and git commit -m. Here would be a CI add workflow. Okay, we are having this one as well. Everything is good in this case. It's time to check everything. Now I'm going to create a branch. Now I'm going to push this branch and create a pull request, and from there we're going to just do, for example, a code review, assuming okay, someone else is doing the code review, not ourselves, and then we will see exactly the action in place as well. I'll go to this repository and then I'll go to pull request. Then I just created this branch, I pushed it. Now we're going to see chore add workflow, and if I want to create a pull request with a main, that is actually what's going to happen. We're going to give it a meaningful name, for example. So we're going to create a pull request assuming our team members are going to check everything and they're happy. So we have 3 files changed. You can see what's happened. And the next thing that we want to do, let's also say, for example, someone else has looked at the code and they're happy. I cannot approve myself, but if you've got approval, then you're going to merge the code. So the moment I merge the code, basically it's going to run this workflow. So if I go to actions for now, I'm going to close this one. If I go to actions, there is nothing has happened so far. So I'm going to merge this one. The next thing that is going to do, if I go to code and click on the dot, or also go into action, doesn't matter, any of them, you can see we have release please. And in release please, it is running the first time. It's going to run the release, and that GitHub actions is going to do a bunch of things. We have all of these things, and we actually gone through all our commit history and look at all the codes. We have 7 commits, and then if you go to pull request now, it generated a file for us, and it's going to be version 1. And it's very important, the version it's going to choose is based on the conventional commit that we have. The reason is that we had, like, for example, we had some fit or features. That's why the changelog is add env, add ESLint, ESLint to test pre-commit hooks, and Husky, add Typescript. All of them are fine, but we had like a fix. We removed something it's going to look at it as a major one. So now you have a chance, for example, to look what is going to happen. And also, if you look into the code changes, it now changed to version 1. So automatically everything's happening. And also, it's also going to create a changelog document as well. Changelog file or document as well. We're able to read it and use it for future. So you might argue this is not a major version. Yes, we can say that because we use, for example, the fix tag. It thought it's going to be a major version change, but in a real life, you know how to do it now. So you get the idea. If it's not going to be a fix, it's not a fix, but you get the idea, and now you can leverage it in your projects. So let's quickly do this one. I'm going to go to conversation, and I'm going to merge this one. Yes, let's do that. So the moment we merge this one, and now if I go to code, we don't have any PR left. And now we have another job is running. So if I go to action, release please now is going to actually give us a release. So if I go to code, we have version 1 now here. So there is 1 release. And if I look at the actions, it was actually done. If I look at here, yeah, it is done. And if I go to code base, we have release 1. If I go to tags, you can see we have version 1. And now we have also a changelog here, which we can benefit. So before just wrapping up, I want to just do one more thing here. So let's quickly change the branch, add readme, and see what do we get. I'm in a main branch, and I have all my files, and the package.json is also updated to the latest. So I've pulled the latest changes. Now I'm going to create another branch. I'll go to pull request, compare. So let's just call it add readme. In real world, you're going to just be more generous and you're going to write more. But for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to waste your time. But let's create it. And we are sure that we only add 1 file, nothing else. I'm going to save it. Merge the pull request. And now we're going to also check again what is going to happen to the release please package again, or the action. So if we go to action and look at the release please, it's running it, good. And now if I go to pull request, so here we can see if the convention is about document or if it's about CI, it doesn't really care because the application hasn't changed. So there is no really release into it. So you can see there is nothing here. And if I reload again, there will be nothing here. So the type of the commit or the message that we put is very important. That's why when we are talking about conventional commit, we need to make sure we use the right subject. I just come here one more time and I just want to really talk about everything that we were talking about. So here again, the very important part, because the automation, it was the main thing, we're going to make sure we use the right commit messages here. Okay, so I think now we are in a good place. So we have the workflow to create a release automatically for us. We also have a bunch of other things that make our life much easier if you're going to use Typescript. So we have like a main module and type. So our package.json is pointing to the right file. We have some script. We are using Wireit. We have some dev dependencies. The first two, just to recap again, is for the commit-lint and conventions. Then we have Typescript, ESLint, and bunch of ESLint stuff that we're going to use it for linting. We have Husky. We use it for git hooks. We have rimraf to just do the cleanup. We have tsup, it's going to bundle Typescript. Typescript is Typescript. And Wireit is just to organize our script in a package.json. I'm also going to leave the link to this repository available in the video description. And please, if you enjoy this kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with others that might benefit as well. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video.